Evening, cup exertions over. It's back to the weekend job in the N-Power Football League, and that includes Doncaster and Plymouth, two clubs who've lost their manager in the last 7 days. And we'll see how Donny and Argyle got on under their new boss in the company of Steve Claridge tonight. And here's a glimpse of what else is coming up this evening. Middlesbrough have hit the heights this season with a local lad driving them on. Mogger was looking for Borough to continue their impressive form against one of his former teams, Ipswich Town. Southampton hit top spot last week, and the Saints were looking to stay there with victory at Burnley.
After 19 league matches without a win, in his original programme notes, the Doncaster chairman John Ryan backed under fire manager Sean O'Driscoll before sacking him yesterday and replacing him with Dean Saunders for the visit of Crystal Palace.
There's no doubt League Two flexed its muscles in the Cup in midweek. We'll see how Shrewsbury and Aldershot responded to those terrific performances when they return to the proverbial bread and butter. And this was how the Shots reacted to the prospect of the biggest cup tie in their history. Yeah, and we'll be talking more about that plum draw for Aldershot a little later. First, though, to Turf Moor, where the surprise early leaders Southampton were already looking for their 10th win of the season against a Burnley side who are doing better in the Cup than the league, funnily enough, with just one win to their name so far.
Top of the league and looking for a 5th straight win, it could hardly be going better for Southampton's players right now. They travel to face a Burnley team who were 2 leagues above them 2 years ago. It could be Southampton who are heading for the Premier League this time, though. However, Burnley held their own in the first half, and they would have taken the lead if Charlie Austin's snapshot had been more accurate. A tight first half was followed by a thrilling second. Burnley were looking to avoid a 3rd straight defeat, but they had Southampton scrambling. Some last-ditch defending denied Austin a shooting opportunity, but when the ball came back in, Brian Easton could have put them ahead. Well, Austin clearly likes playing against Southampton. This his 4th appearance against the Saints, and here's his 4th goal. His previous 3 for former club Swindon. Time for some corner flag action, I think. Southampton had scored 12 in their previous 4 games in all competitions, and so were always a threat. Ricky Lambert was on the end of a Fraser Richardson cross, and he could hardly have gone any closer. Burnley had yet to keep a clean sheet in any match, in any competition this season, and when Adam Lallana was left unmarked, the visitors were again just a whisker away from a leveller. So Burnley were just 10 minutes from their first home win of the season when Saints sub Morgan Schneiderlin denied them again. A first goal for the Frenchman in a year and a half, and there was still time for the visitors to push for the goal that would make it a 10th win in 11 in all competitions. But Lee Grant denied Lallana, and the Saints marched in with just a point.
I think it's our best performance of the season so far. I know we didn't win the game, but for long periods we were better than the league leaders, and I thought we deserved the 3 points in the overall balance of the game, and we're disappointed not to win.
With 10 minutes left behind in the game, we go and score a good goal from Morgan Schneiderlin, and there was only one team that was going to win it, which was going to be ourselves, because, as I say, we were very fit, very strong, and in the ascendancy.
Yeah, he's right. Saints certainly had their chances towards the end. You watched them last week, Steve. You've been mightily impressed by them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, they've gone to the next level. I think they enjoy, the better players stepping up to a better division, enjoy other teams coming on to them, enjoy other teams taking them on and saying, hey, we think we can beat you. I went down numerous times last year, and the 1 or 2 times when they struggled was when teams sat deep and they struggled to break them down.
Right.
Well, like I say, they've gone to, and also Southampton, not only have they gone up to the next level, but their players have gone to the next level.
Yeah, interesting. I was looking at their starting 11 as well. Relatively, I mean, not totally inexperienced, at championship level.
Yes. I mean, there's 4 or 5 there who've certainly played at that level and played there and done well at that level. But there's also, others who've made their step up. But as I say, they've taken that seamlessly, and they look a good side. And I've been mightily impressed. And I was glad I went last Sunday, because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to see, but what I did see was very, very good.
These are funny times for Burnley, aren't they? They're doing well in the Cup, not quite so taking off for them in the league.
Well, another club that, as you say, have bought players that have come up from the lower divisions.
Yeah. Massive turnover of players.
Absolutely. 1 or 2 players that you've undoubtedly wanted to keep but wasn't able to. And others that might just be struggling to find their feet at this stage. But good players in the making, and potentially, You know, when you look a little bit further down the line, you know, potentially a team that's you know, could come to fruition maybe in the next 6 to 12 months.
Maybe that elusive home win will come on Tuesday against Forest. Well, with Southampton salvaging just a point, that meant Middlesbrough could end the day top, further highlighting the terrific job Tony Mowbray has done in his 11 months in charge. Borough were languishing third from bottom when he first took over, but on Saturday, they were the only unbeaten side left in the Championship. Well, the Borough boss welcomed his old club Ipswich to the Riverside. Adam Pope was there as well.
It's the Championship's only unbeaten side, Middlesbrough, against a swiftly improving Ipswich Town, searching for a third victory in 4 games. Middlesbrough are unchanged from the side which won 1-0 at Crystal Palace a week ago. That means star striker Marvin Emmons returns to the side after missing out against Palace in the Carling Cup. He will partner Scott McDonald, whilst Joe Bennett and Justin Hoyt will play in the wing-back roles in a 3-5-2 formation. Carl Akimi keeps his ever-present league position between the sticks. Ipswich are unchanged from the team which crushed Coventry 3-0. It's a very experienced midfield of Jimmy Bullard in the holding role, in support of captain Grant Ledbetter, Lee Bowyer and Blackburn loanee Keith Andrews, whilst Ibrahima Sonko has won his battle with a knee injury to retain his place in central defence. Tony Mowbray, a legend at both clubs at Portman Road, where he led Ipswich into the Premier League in 2000, scoring in the playoff final to see them into the top flight of English football. Can he do the same with Middlesbrough this time around? It's a nicely weighted ball. It was in the air so long that it gave time for Middlesbrough to regroup, but they've been caught. Scotland edging in towards the edge of the penalty area, and Bates with a timely clearance. It's the outswinger, looking for Scotland and Sonko. Feeded back in, and Sonko with a great chance to open the scoring. Just 6 yards out. Saw the whites of the post and the bar, and somehow contrived to put that out over the angle. Edwards. Now to Ledbetter. Looking for Chopra. Oh, what a save from Akimi. He really didn't know too much about it as Chopra ghosted in around the back of the Middlesbrough defence. The Nigerian stood tall. Chopra met it really well. How did he not score? Well, Akimi knew nothing about it, but just somehow put his left knee out towards the ball. Tony Mowbray much less than satisfied. And you think Paul Jewell will be the happier of the two managers as they head towards the tunnel. Collins for Ipswich. Now Scotland. Raking left foot effort, drives against the post. There seems to be very little on, and he is in a whisker away from opening the scoring. Scotland so potent. Little lift back and fits that one in towards the frame of the goal. Akemi got down. You had to think the force of the blow would have probably gone through his hand. He'll be happy, but when he looks back he'll think Chopra, point blank save from Akemi, and now the post denying his side. Haroon now to Robson. Bennett goes on the overlap. Robson just about gets it under control at the second attempt and prods it back to Bailey. Still Bennett with room. McDonald waits. Over Stockdale maybe, gets a big hand to it. Hoyt looking to cut back and maybe go on his own. And a shocking attempt from the former Arsenal man. There were players lining up, and Hoyt, having checked back onto his left foot, did very little to keep it down, and the chance goes a-begging. Great raking ball, Robson's in round the back. Brilliant recovery though from Collins. Superb recovery from the central defender, who's taken a knock for his troubles. Robson looked to be wriggling away from the giant centre-back, and Scott Matheson said there was no foul. Emmons does well to win the ball back for Haroon. Comes to play the ball in towards McDonald. McDonald twisting and turning, shoots. Great save from Stockdale. Might fall for Emmons, and breaks for Bailey and Haroon are getting each other's way. And the chance might have gone a-begging for Middlesbrough. Well, it certainly has now as Robson fires that cross over and out. Middlesbrough never gave it up. Great turn from Scott McDonald, turning Sonko inside out Stockdale just with a double arm punch down into the ground. Sonko left for dead as McDonald fires in, and it had to be saved because it was making its way into the corner of the goal, and Stockdale keeps it at 0-0 with an excellent save. And still he waits for that goal. Robson against Bullard. In towards goal, but at the near post and covering and diving forward was Dave Stockdale. And a great throw from the keeper, Chopra, into Scotland. Scotland has already hit the post, looking to work an angle and fires it wide. He's claiming a corner. What a chance there, brilliant play. Hoyt had played it back into his path. Scotland eventually with the shot away. Looks like it's taken a little nick past the post. In the end, a great covering block. But Scotland now, having hit a post, sees another effort go inches wide. Haroun. Now Hoyt. Hoyt goes towards the goal line. Stands the ball up, looking for McDonald, and he's put it wide. There's a ripple in the side netting. Half the ground felt it had gone in. From Hoyt, great dink back. McDonald peeling away and just into the side netting. A minute remaining of added time. Bailey to Thompson. Thompson into Haroun. Haroun, now Emers, his first real chance, and he can't keep it under control as it bobbles against his feet. And Tony Mowbray knows that the chance to win the game at the death has gone.
We'll keep going. It's disappointing, frustrating not to have taken 3 points, because whilst it could have gone either way, you hope at home it goes your way, and we're standing here and talking about a 1-0 win and how well Ipswich played, and yet we'll talk about a 0-0 draw and take the positives of that and move on to Wednesday night.
Paul, how happy are you with that result?
Well, we're pleased with a clean sheet, but I felt, I know we came under a little bit of pressure second half against a team that is second in the table, which is always going to happen. I felt we had some gilt-edged opportunities. In the first half we could have gone in 2 up, and even at the end, Jason Scotland's had a great opportunity. I'm really pleased with the effort we've put in. We passed the ball really well at times. We had to dig in, and it's a good point, yeah.
It was always going to happen, wasn't it? We take the cameras down and we're treated to the first 0-0 draw at the Riverside for 37 games. But it lacked a bit of flow, this one, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either side were totally dominant, shall we say, and probably neither were at their flowing best. But massive positives for both. I mean, Middlesbrough remain unbeaten.
Yeah.
Had a fantastic start so far. Sometimes,
particularly away from home.
Yeah, I mean, and also there's an art to not probably being at your best, but still getting something out of the game. Game they could have lost probably because Ipswich undoubtedly had the better of the chances, the real gilt-edged chances.
Well, let's have a look at those, because Paul Jewell mentioned it. They just missed that clinical edge.
Yeah, I mean, also, as we say, from an Ipswich perspective, they've created good chances and haven't conceded. That's the thing that they'll be most pleased about. And as you say, 1 or 2 times here where they'll be shaking their heads and wondering exactly why and how that hasn't found the back of the net.
Here's another chance. I mean, between the two of them, can you still see goals between a pair like Jason Scotland and Michael Chopra?
Well, I mean, yes, I can. I mean, Scotland looked better today. It's taken him a little while, I think, but he looked better today, working on the last man. I mean, Chopra, I think, will always get you goals if you can provide chances at that level. He's a real live wire. And as I say, there were positives from both managers. And it's one of those, I think, certainly you look at the game and you know you could have done better, but also you'll go away quietly pleased about exactly what you've seen.
So Tony Mowbray won't be concerned by the fact that the lack of home wins compared to them doing ever so well on the road?
No, absolutely not. As I say, that they remain unbeaten. It's been a fantastic start, and he'll know that they can't play to the level that they have played in previous weeks every week. You're bound to get a peak and a trough every now and again, and it's important when you get that trough that you don't get beaten. And that's what they do. That's what happened today. I
suppose also Middlesbrough's style almost suits them playing away from home as well.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, they're very quick on the counter-attack. And with Emnes and with that pace, he gets a little bit more room away from home, and he's certainly been able to exploit that.
OK, now, before we get into the other Championship games from Saturday, let's take a look back at Friday night's cracker involving Brighton and Leeds. It was one enjoyed by Jonathan Ledgard.
Noon with the corner. Free header as well. Just over the bar, and where were the Leeds defence? Danny Pugh wins it back. Good acceleration by Leeds, pulls it back. Bakio trying to tee up. Clayton Ball blocked. Here comes McCormack. Could go to Keogh. Blocked on the line. It's in though. And Andy Keogh, the Leeds boy, back for his club, and he scores his first goal on his return. Snodgrass finds McCormack. Good turn away. Tries a shot and scores! He cannot stop scoring, and Leeds have taken this game by the scruff of its neck. And Brighton cannot say they haven't been warned. Mikhail Smith, good turn away, great chance, and scores! Mikhail Smith, almost on the restart, and Brighton have hope. That's why they paid a record fee for him. Vicente. He's already winning the home crowd. Seems to have that ball tied to his boot. Here's Vicente, and that's Mikhail Smith, and is that a penalty? It is! Loa played the ball through. Bromby went for it. Mikhail Smith seemed to go down very quickly. This could be 2-2. Short run up as ever. Straight in. Not a problem. So cool, so confident. He beat Lonergan just like he beat Rayner. Dicker out to the right-hand side. Good run forward by Calderon. This is Barnes coming in low. Mikhail Smith, and Mikhail Smith scores again. Leeds seemed to go dozing. Their defence was caught. Barnes did the hard work, and then coming near post, Bromby caught short, and Mikhail Smith tucks in his second of the game. End to end, from goalkeeper to goalkeeper. Good header on. Here comes Howson now charging through. Can he put it back? Can do. Yes, it's in. They've rescued it. It's another goal for Ross McCormack in stoppage time. And it's dead-eye Ross McCormack again. That's his 8th league goal of the season. And how crucial was that? Leeds deserve at least a draw.
Do you come out of that game disappointed you've not won it, having been 2-0 up, or delighted with the draw?
Don't know. To be honest with you, happy, sad, frustrated, angry, elated. It had everything, really, didn't it? I mean, I thought first half we were outstanding.
I'm disappointed with the score, really. Not with the draw, because after being 2-0 down, I think you have to take it. But with the score, 3-3 is not the kind of game that I like.
A win against Millwall would give Nigel Clough's Derby their best start to a league season in 40 years. The form book suggested that this was more than likely. It's been a very different story for the Lions, who've lost their roar in recent weeks. You have to go back a month for their last goal, but Danny and Gesson did have an early chance. Derby went into the match in the top 4, while the visitors are looking for a first win in 6. And true to form, the hosts went ahead thanks to Craig Bryson midway through the first half. 19-year-old Jeff Hendrick has taken his chance in the Derby midfield in recent weeks. The Irishman scored against Forest last weekend, and he was at it again here for his second senior goal. Almost a carbon copy of Bryson's earlier effort. The Rams were rampant and could have had it all but wrapped up before the break. But their top scorer, Stephen Davis, was foiled by David Ford. Into the second half, and Davis was presented with a great opportunity to score his 4th of the season. But somehow he failed to even hit the target. Another slick county move led to a perfect pass from Jamie Ward. Davis in plenty of space as the Millwall defence went AWOL again. This time, though, he was able to make it count. The match was pretty much over, but the visitors had a final chance to get back in the goals after the barren month, and Gesson was close again, but not close enough.
West Ham welcomed Peterborough for only the second time in their history for Saturday's league clash. Indeed, these two have only ever met twice before, the Hammers winning both. And they took the lead early on in this one, courtesy of a penalty, Lee Frecklington getting a bit too physical with Henry Lansbury for referee Tony Bates' liking. Mark Noble's only previous goal of the season came from the spot against Portsmouth 2 weeks ago, and he doubled that tally here to put the home side one up. The Hammers had started brightly, and they could have made it 2-0 from striker Carlton Cole, who was playing up front on his own. He had plenty of time to think about what he'd do here. He went for a curler. With the visitors failing to fashion many clear-cut chances of their own, it was the Hammers who almost scored again late on. Substitute David Bentley bringing the best out of Paul Jones. West Ham are now unbeaten in 7 championship games.
At 1-0 it always is close, because any slip could cost you anything, but I think that in terms of what we created today, the disappointment is we didn't convert any of those opportunities into more goals.
The last time these two met in a league fixture was way back in 1981, and Blackpool arrived at Fratton Park enjoying their best start to a league campaign in 9 years. It's a very different story for Pompey though, who found points and goals hard to come by. They were on the back foot early on, Gary Taylor-Fletcher picking out Matt Phillips, the former Wycombe man missing out. Pompey did find their feet shortly before the break, Joel Ward heading just the wrong side of the upright. Ian Holloway's Tangerines did look odds on to take the lead. Tom Ince went close, Jamie Ashdown equal to his free kick. After the break it was Portsmouth who went closest to breaking the deadlock. Matt Gilks at full stretch to deny Ward his first goal of the campaign. With the game deep in injury time, a moment of drama as Pompey managed a last-minute smash and grab. Ian Everett failing to clear Greg Halford's long throw. And the Norwegian Erik Huseklepp picked the perfect moment to volley home his first Portsmouth goal and take all 3 points for the home side.
We came away from home and passed the ball well, moved it well. Unfortunately, we missed a couple of opportunities, which at this level and any level you can't afford to do.
And this was a tough game for us today, so, you know, we're talking about a side here that graced the Premier League last year. So all credit to them, you know, they do fantastically well for their football club. But we're pleased with our performance today from a relatively new team.
It hasn't exactly been a stellar start to the season for Bristol City. With just 1 win and lying second from bottom in the table, Keith Millen's side went into their clash with Hull in urgent need of a kick-start. And City started brightly. They were only denied an opener by a former employee, their old keeper Adriano Basso at full stretch to deny Marvin Elliott. But as so often happens at Ashton Gate, it was the visitors who scored. 11 minutes after the break, Robert Corran and Aaron McLean linked cleverly to give Corran his second goal in as many matches. That goal stung the home side into action and they rallied in pursuit of a quick equaliser. Basso again to the rescue for Hull. Before this one, Bristol were the only championship club without a home league goal to their name. 11 minutes before time, that record was ended. Brett Pittman heading Cole Skewes' speculative effort past Basso. 1-1 it finished, but that's 6 games without a win now for the Robins.
Obviously pleased to score the first home goal. I'm still waiting for that first home win, but when you analyse the game, I don't think that I could have asked much more from the players. Certainly the most pleasing point was their reaction to going a goal down.
Defeat on Monday against Ipswich consigned Coventry to their worst start to a league season in 12 years. They welcome Reading to the Ricoh Arena. These teams couldn't manage a goal between them in their 2 games last season, but it took just 98 seconds to break the deadlock. Gary McSheffrey firing the Sky Blues in front with his first of the season. The Royals have been averaging 1 goal and 1 point per game so far, and they got their obligatory strike early on. Adam Lafondra setting up Simon Church to level. Both these teams have struggled to find the form that they finished the last campaign with. The visitors, though, had a great chance to take the lead when Joby McAnuff was taken out by Cyrus Christie. Noel Hunt took responsibility, but couldn't get the better of Joe Murphy. So the match appeared to be heading for a draw till deep in stoppage time when Lukas Jutkovic's run was halted illegally by the Reading defender Kaspers Gorks. Penalty. So Jutkovic with the chance to win it from the spot, but he lost his nerve with the pressure on, and that was virtually the last kick of the match.
Birmingham fans welcomed Barnsley to St Andrews, staring at the prospect of a 4th successive defeat in all competitions, and they'd conceded 6 goals in their last 2 games, one in the league, the other in the Carling Cup, which of course they won last year, not this time. And it looked like being the same old story when Jacob Butterfield's stunning strike put Barnsley ahead after half an hour. After the break, Barnsley was still on top. Keeper Boaz Myhill standing firm here to deny Jordan Clark. And so it went on. Daniel Drinkwater's fizzing shot went close to doubling Barnsley's advantage. But with 4 minutes to go, Birmingham suddenly found a spark. The former Cardiff winger Chris Burke picking the perfect time to score a first goal for his new club, and Chris Hughton's side had stopped the losing run, but it was a muted celebration.
The first half period where they were better than us. Certainly there was a blatant foul leading up to their goal, but they had to defend very well the second half.
So Birmingham come away with a point, but they're still finding their feet in this division, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, you could say that. I mean, you put this down to a number of things. 3 months
Clearly
ago,
over the summer, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, 3 months ago they're winning the Carling Cup. Since then, change of manager, they've been relegated. Players are coming and going. Don't quite know where they are with regard to the transfer window. That's now out of the way. The owner, what's going to happen with regard to the ownership of the club and the owner himself. Everything has happened so quickly. I think people are still trying to take all that in, and I'm not quite sure people actually know exactly where they are and where that club
what will be
is
a good
going at this
season
stage.
for
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one to pinpoint because, as I say, so much has happened in such a short space of time, and a lot of it, in all honesty, quite negative as well.
Their opponents, Barnsley, looks like they're turning the corner under Keith Hill. As for Derby, I mean, they put Millwall to the sword, didn't they, with 3 great goals. By all accounts, and we can see it here, the right side paid dividends for them on Saturday. Yeah,
not just that. I mean, the movement, the confidence in each other when the ball went forward. People were able to take a chance. I mean, you look at it here. Steve Davis gets the ball. It's a lovely little ball inside there. And that's great. I think that's Ben Davis, isn't it? And in the end, it's a super finish from Hendricks. But the actual ability to read each other, the awareness of each other, the confidence in each other when the ball went forward to run off each other and provide an option. That's another really well-worked goal, and there's almost a telepathy there between some of the players as to exactly where you should be on the pitch and finding each other at certain times.
It's almost the perfect follow-up performance after what they did against Forest, but to come at home and do that, it was ideal.
They had to grind that out at Forest, obviously
a
player down. But I think this is the way that Nigel Clough has been searching. This is the system and the formation and the way that he's wanted them to play for a long time. And now it looks like it's actually coming to a head.
That certainly amounts to worrying times for Millwall with their defeats and lack of goals. For Portsmouth, however, a year ago, close to going out of business, back to winning ways now in the Championship. And this is a tremendous strike from their Norwegian.
Mr. Hoiscliffe, yes. You've got to say it's probably needed as well because it's been a slow start at Portsmouth. You know, there's been a fair bit of investment now. Yeah. And I think Steve Cottrell's reasonably pleased with what he's got there now. He's got a relatively experienced side now, and he'll be expecting more days like that now in the future, I would imagine.
Now, if you missed tonight's live game on the B, Watford took on Nottingham Forest at Vicarage Road. Both sides managing just 2 wins between them so far this season. Well, as for the teams, Forest old boy Joe Garner came in for Andy Vyman for Watford in their only change, while Forest made 3 changes, one of them Ishmael Miller replacing Marcus Tudgay up front.
That's a good header on by Miller. He's charging off the return as well from Lynch. Such a powerful man. He drops back to Lynch. Side netting.
Take a chance. Miller there just kind of pulls out of it a little bit. But this here, down at the near post. Decent save.
McGugan will take the corner. Lynch is now at the far post area. Finley goes near. There is McGugan. There is a Lynch.
Big concern here for Watford. Far too many players getting free headers inside the 6-yard box. That is a free header, what 6 yards, 7 yards out?
Swordell. Oh!
against his old side. That's the closest Watford have come so far. Yeah. I think it's a touch from Lee Camp. Look, good play from Zordell. We talked about his ability. Good turn and cross. That's a good header as well, getting across the near post. And it's an excellent save. All gone, this is a half a chance here. Bhasin is through, and that's the best chance of the game so far. Lee Camp spread himself well, but Bhasin should have scored. Onside, clearly. Clint Hill here, new signing. Keeps him on, plays him onside. Lovely little touch, clears his feet, and it looks like he scuffs the ball. A little bit of composure here. Yeah, just off the heel. Doesn't catch it clean. Oh, he knows it's a great opportunity. Here's Eustace, back in the box, far post, Darnell's in there. Big chance for Watford. And the ball's fed out. This is a lovely ball in. Eustace, eyes on the ball, head it down. Should be a goal. But now here's Miller in behind. And a mix-up at the back for Watford gives Nottingham Forest the opening goal of the game. Oh, right on cue. Paul Dickinson, the left back. I'm not sure if he gets a shout from Scott Loach or whatever, but between them, they don't deal with the situation. And it's just a straightforward punt. Now, this ball should be attacked. It's ducked. And then there, you have to go and clean out. You have to take that ball. You have to get your arm across the man. And you can just see he's trying to push Miller as opposed to just play the ball. Loach is in a position where any touch beats him. So between him, he's trying to hold off, and Loach doesn't commit himself and come far enough. 1-0. Here's Tudgai. Scored in the first minute of the game at City Ground between the two last season, and he's nagged Watford into the error. And he very nearly scored today. That's good goalkeeping by Loach. I've seen it late from behind his own defender. This is a decent opportunity, and when it goes between defenders' legs, sometimes the goalkeeper can get unsighted, but just as well there, keeps a good eye on it, pushes it away from the danger area. That's the key thing as well. Hogg floated forward, looking for Deeney. Good early jump, Taylor's in there, nearly came through to Olumo, and planted and saved. Decent play. You can see Eustace comes round the front here, and he just side foots, doesn't he? He's trying to shape it into the far corner.
We said beforehand, you know, you don't win games unless you keep clean sheets. Clint Hill came in, and we had a back line of big boys who could head the ball. Watford played direct, played into our back five, and we dealt with it. And when we didn't, Lee Camp pulled off some great saves which we needed. And you know, I was pleased with that. The clean sheet, and we said at half-time, wait for one moment, because it looks like that's all we'll get, and we took it.
It's just cruel. Football can be cruel sometimes. You know, we've created enough to win the game. We've controlled a lot of the game, and that one moment changes the game, and that's sometimes the way it is. So we learn, we develop as a side, and we move forward to the next one.
It's been a difficult week, starting with last Saturday. We recovered on Tuesday. Great performance against Newcastle. And today we needed the win. And it was a horrible win. I don't think a classic to watch, but we got the 3 points, and that was the most important.
Well, we certainly agree. It wasn't exactly a classic, but as we heard there, Steve McLaren makes no apologies of an ugly win, especially after what went on last weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that he's in a position where he's going to feel sympathy for anyone after what's happened to him so far this season. So, yeah, I mean, Watford, from their perspective, will definitely feel a little bit hard done by. They should have got something out of the game, probably had the better of the chances, but you know, it was welcome relief for Steve McLaren, and in the end, it was a strange goal, and a strange goal to concede, because they're not quite sure
what
they were doing
happened here then?
Well, the ball, I mean, it's played forward, and Martin Taylor's no doubt his favourite. Somehow he ducks under it. He must have got either a shout from the keeper or
his fullback, maybe.
Carl Dickinson to leave it, which he does. And then no one actually goes and deals with it. And as you can see, the pace of Miller takes him past Dickinson. Loach is in no man's land. And you've lost the game.
You mentioned Watford had their decent chances, but clearly didn't take them. And that's something that a lot of people pinpointed as being maybe their weakness at the start of the season.
Well, I mean, you take Danny Graham out their side last year.
It's a lot of goals.
Yeah, it is a lot of goals. He's 23 or 24 goals last year. And he was the mainstay of their side. So once you lose that type of player and you don't actually replace him, Joel Garner's come in and he'll have a go for you. Chris Iweluma's come in as well, I think, and Troy Deeney. But it's difficult to replace that amount of goals that one player scores for you. You know, in a side that, with all due respect, finished mid-table. Obviously, it's a fantastic return from Danny Graham, but he's not there, and you're bound to struggle to replace someone like that.
I know, I thought Steve McLaren did look a little exhausted after the 90 minutes, and we think we now know why. I mean, after welcoming Sean Dyche, obviously down on the touchline, he was everywhere. I think he got a high vantage point, and you agree with this, don't you?
I actually don't understand why a lot of managers, maybe not in the sun like that,
I'm surprised you could see
a place out of the sun, but I don't understand why a lot of managers don't go up, particularly the first half, into the stand, sit in the stand, and then get a complete overview of the game. You can't see the game from that sort of level where you stood on the touchline properly. You can see it from above. You get a totally different picture. You can see the pattern and the shape of the game. And I think then maybe, when things need to be changed, then come down and get your instructions across. But certainly for the first half, your work should be done in your preparation of that week.
Now, the last 48 hours have been mind-boggling, to say the least, at the Keepmoat Stadium. With Doncaster without a win in 19 games, Chairman John Ryan was keen to publicly back manager Sean O'Driscoll on Thursday, only then to replace him hours later with Dean Saunders. Clem's been to find out what exactly has been going on.
Victory over Leeds in the 2008 League One playoff final, returning Doncaster to the Championship for the first time in 50 years, was Sean O'Driscoll's crowning glory in South Yorkshire.
Best memory I've ever had against the Leeds.
Absolutely fantastic. Didn't know where to put ourselves.
Massive. I mean, we built his hopes up. People are even talking Premiership.
But a run of 19 league games without a win and 4 points adrift of safety forced Chairman John Ryan to repeatedly state this week that he had never responded to hotheads who wanted to sack somebody.
Printers were going mad on Friday morning, taking things out, changing things and reprinting some pages and putting posters in. So, yeah, it was quite fun.
I didn't want Sean to go. I still don't want Sean to go. I still think we jumped too early.
Chairman must know what he's doing. We need a boost now and we maybe get one.
It's usual in club football, a bit of a rash decision.
I am gonna murder you now. You told me you were backing your manager. What's changed?
I had 2 or 3 meetings and basically a lot changed in those meetings. I was told a few home truths about my club, which I thought, yeah, you're probably right, and we have to do something about it. 1 point from 7 games is not good enough.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a shock, obviously. The old gaffer brought us in, and then 2 days later he's been sacked, so a bit strange, but it's football, eh?
We're not hire and fire him. We've had 2 managers in the last 11 years, so that's not a bad record.
Hiya. You okay? We're going to come see you in a wee while. As for the new man, the former Liverpool, Aston Villa and Wales striker leaves Wrexham joint top of the conference, having led them to the playoffs last season in the face of withering financial difficulties.
Taking a job at Wrexham, I've learned so much, and I'd advise anybody who's aspiring to be a manager to go and work down there and you learn your trade, and most things that are thrown at me now, I think I might be able to deal with them.
Because somebody has tipped me off, you do a pretty darn reasonable Brian Clough impression.
No, I just try and be myself. I actually think we can go the other way. Instead of going down out the trap door, we can go the other way, and I've got to try and get that into the players, and hopefully my enthusiasm and my drive will rub off on them.
You're not going to rise to my bait for the Cloughy impression then?
No. Special occasions, or if you've got a couple of grand, I might do it for you.
If there's one thing that Brian Clough was good at, it was winning, and Saunders got off to a flyer. He made 3 changes, including handing a start to loan signing John Parkin. Palace have dropped off the pace a little since picking up 3 straight wins. They've now gone 3 without victory. Glenmurray had chances either side of half-time, but Neil Sullivan came out on top on both. Sullivan showing that even in his 40s, the reactions are still good. The return of Billy Sharp after injury on the first day of the season was one welcome sight for the new Rovers boss, and another was a rare slice of good fortune. John Oster's shot took a decisive deflection, but in a season where not much has gone right for the club, the former Palace player wasn't going to complain about some good luck. James Hazer could even have added another, but it didn't matter as Rovers took all 3 points. A first win in 20, a first clean sheet all season, and a perfect start for Saunders.
Shocking first half, and then we come back and play better second half. Great result.
Learned a lot today?
Yeah.
Coming from a team where I've just come from, where they're at the top of the league and they all want the ball and they're all confident, it was even more noticeable for me to see how nervous they were.
You enjoyed that, Mickey, didn't you? Just a bit. I'm 20 years younger now.
It's a ridiculous job being a football manager, because if we'd have lost today, I wouldn't be able to speak. Devastated, couldn't speak to my wife. I go home, I won't sleep. And when you win, you're just relieved. You're not going to feel like that. It don't add up.
We certainly wish Dean Saunders the best of luck in his new Football League career, and it's got off to a flying start, all thanks mainly to just the smallest of deflections, Steve.
Yes, well, you need a little bit of luck as well, don't you, along the way, certainly, and they got that. There'll be opportunities. I mean, they've had a lot of bad injuries, and major plus point for them was Billy Sharp coming back as well, but that's a welcome relief. All of a sudden, 4 points. A win away from getting out of the bottom.
Not many points away from getting out of the bottom. Yeah,
3 points, a win away from getting out of the relegation.
So what did you make of what's gone on? I mean, it was a crazy 24 hours. Donny fans left scratching their heads. Sean O'Driscoll there, 5 years gone just like that. Yeah. What did you make of it when you first heard?
Well, I don't... Firstly, it doesn't make a lot of sense when a chairman comes out and says that, and then all of a sudden there are things saying that the board or the owners are the ones who've actually perpetrated the change, and not John Ryan. Then you think, well, why is John Ryan speaking for people if he's not the one who's actually making the decision? So that in a way doesn't make sense. I don't like the gardening leave. I don't think that works. If you're going to sack someone, sack them, pay them up and let them get on. But vice versa, a manager shouldn't be able to walk out of his contract. So, neither of that is very satisfactory. But it's happened very, very quickly. And it's another one of those situations where you think, why has it got to that stage? If things were done differently, done the right way, it could have all been done, and no one would be complaining. So it's just another.
But it would be good to see Sean back in football, of course. Because
Sean
his principles have been terrific.
He'll get back into football simply because he loves his teams to play football, and so far, up to the last year, he's been very successful at it.
OK, to League One then, and we begin our roundup with the leaders Charlton. The Addicts have yet to taste defeat this season, but they were bracing themselves for a tough test against Chesterfield, who'd won their last 3.
More than 22,000 turned out at the Valley. Cut price tickets and a top-of-the-table team, clearly a winning combination. And the majority soon got what they came to see. Paul Hayes flicking Brad Wright-Phillips' shot past a clutch of defenders. By the half-hour mark, Chesterfield were 2 down. Charlton's second far too simple from their perspective. Skipper Johnny Jackson had the home side sitting pretty. Chesterfield knew the next goal would be all important, so when Alex Mendy's appeals for handball and a penalty were ignored, it was too much for boss John Sheridan, sent to the stands for his protests, which continued en route to his new seat. Eventually Chesterfield did get the spot kick they desired, this one an easy decision for the referee, as Leon Clark's legs were whipped away by Michael Morrison. The fiery Clark, drummed out of Swindon by Paolo Di Canio, had his heart set on becoming the only Spirite since the 1930s to score in his first 4 appearances. But after some persuasion, he had to let Danny Whittaker do the honours. Chesterfield still had 18 minutes to rescue a draw, but their fate was finally sealed in stoppage time. Scott Wagstaff centre finding Wright-Phillips at full stretch for his 6th goal in as many games.
A landmark occasion for Gary Waddock, the Wycombe boss hoping to celebrate a century of games in charge with victory over high-flying Sheffield United. Stuart Bevan's first league goal of the campaign increased his overall tally to 5. but the Blades wouldn't surrender their unbeaten away record lightly. Chet Evans clattered the woodwork to keep the home side firmly on their toes. Danny Wilson felt his side dominated from start to finish, but Wickham simply refused to cave in. A terrific double stop from Nicky Bull ended Wickham's 5-match losing streak to give his manager a day to remember.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with the performance and the result, you know, and my 100th game in charge. It's a nice way to finish it all off, but we needed to get out of that run that we were on, and the players, the work rate and their commitment they showed today was fantastic.
Huddersfield went into their match with Leyton Orient knowing if they avoided defeat it would be their best start to a season for 50 years, and things started brightly. Oscar Goban unlucky to see his effort smack back off the bar. Undeterred, the home side went in search of the opener, and it came just 12 minutes later. And full credit needs to go to Jack Hunt. The O's defence had no answer to his wonderful wing play as he teed up Alan Lee to nod the home side ahead. Now Hunt has been at the club since the age of 9 and he's emerging as a first-team regular this season, and he no doubt enhanced his reputation with boss Lee Clark when he doubled his side's advantage with this wonderful effort with just over half an hour remaining. The Terriers appeared to be cruising to victory, but the game turned with 5 minutes remaining. Jamie McComb saw red for an off-the-ball incident, meaning Huddersfield had to play the remainder with 10 men. Afterwards, Clark said McComb had let the side down massively through an act of indiscipline. Almost immediately, Orient were back in the game as Kevin Lisby headed home. And just when it appeared Huddersfield had done enough, Ben Chorley scored a dramatic injury-time equaliser with a well-placed finish. It was a confidence-boosting comeback for Russell Slade's men, but they're still without a league win this season.
This appeared a stiff test for Bury following 5 straight league defeats, though Giles Coke's improvisation almost gave them a breakthrough against their high-flying opponents. For their part, MK Dons drew a blank for the first time all season, though it took a sensational save from keeper Trevor Carson on loan from Sunderland to deny Clinton Morrison the goal on his debut. His despair shared in the stands.
Dedication's what you need to follow Hartlepool to Bournemouth, but after a record-breaking start, the Mammoth journey seemed less of a chore. However, Stephen Gregory's first goal for the Cherries threatened to spoil the afternoon. But Alberto Solano's peach of a free kick restored parity just before the break. Bournemouth appeared to have held on for a much-needed point after 3 successive home defeats. But 3 minutes from the end, Pools clinched the win that stretches their unbeaten run to 9 league games. Evan Horwood announcing his return from injury in emphatic style.
With 5 league wins in a row, there's plenty to smile about for Preston fans, and with celebrations starting to mark their status as the European City of Sport 2012, there was a spring in the step ahead of the visit of Tranmere. In a week when missed opportunities have been at the forefront of people's minds, Jamie Proctor must have been thinking of Fernando Torres as he rounded the keeper, like the Spaniard who'd done the hard work. The first goal came 8 minutes before the break, and it was a tale of 2 veterans. Neil Mellor was fouled in the box by 38-year-old Ian Goodison, allowing 39-year-old Graham Alexander to fire North End into a half-time lead. Jose Baxter is 20 years younger than the man who opened the scoring. The striker was making his Tranmere debut after a loan move from Everton, and it was one to remember as he lashed home an equaliser with half an hour to play. Danny Mayer once had a 3-game loan spell at Prenton Park, but he showed no sympathy for his former teammates when with less than 20 minutes remaining, he scored his first Football League goal. The visitors were given a glimmer of hope with 15 minutes to play. Paul Parry had already been booked when he received a second yellow for this tangle with Lucas Atkins. Not a great day then if your surname's Parry. Les's men couldn't find an equaliser. Phil Brown's side are now unbeaten in 8.
Having dipped into mid-table at the start of the month, Notts County are back up to 4th. Lee Hughes' eye for goal helping them on the way. His 4th in 5 September matches, tough on a Rochdale team who'd enjoyed a bright first half at Meadow Lane. Steve Ayres' men were almost back on terms before the break. Skipper Gary Jones not too far off with his ambitious drive. But Dow slip into the bottom 4. Their defeat confirmed in stoppage time as Carl Hawley picked out Sam Sodji, who made the finish look routine.
Paul Dickoff and Uwe Rosler were on the same side the last time they appeared together at Boundary Park, but now the former Man City strikers were locking horns for the first time as managers, and it was Rosler who had the edge on his old pal by half-time. Jonathan Douglas gave Brentford the advantage. But the home side were on the hunt for a third win on the bounce, and just past the hour, Miguel Angel Lera gave them a helping hand, quite literally. The Spaniard dismissed for a second yellow card, paving the way for an Oldham recovery. Miles Weston killed off any chance of that happening just 9 minutes later. Niall McGinn embarrassing Philip Moraes down the left before supplying the perfect cross. Brentford's fourth away win on the bounce puts them into the playoff places.
Exeter haven't scored away from home this season, while Sheffield Wednesday have won 4 on the bounce at Hillsborough, so it was perhaps no surprise when James O'Connor put the Owls 1-0 up 5 minutes before half-time, following a goalmouth scramble. Despite frustrating the home side for the opening 40 minutes, Paul Tisdale's men found themselves 2-0 down at the break when in-form Gary Medine headed home for his 8th goal of the season. Not a bad return for late September, although he was helped out on this occasion by some suspect goalkeeping and defending. It was to get better for Medine and Wednesday, when with 15 minutes to play he was brought down in the box by defender Steve Tully. Tully was clearly frustrated with the decision, as he knew there was an air of inevitability about the outcome. In the form he's in, Medine didn't need a second invitation. Gary Megson described it as the best home performance of the season, and his side could have had a fourth as Chris Lyons came agonisingly close to his first goal of the season after some neat build-up play. In the end, 3 was enough as the Owls celebrate 5 consecutive home league wins for the first time in 20 years.
Six years ago, Peter Murphy's goal against Stevenage won the conference playoff final for Carlisle, and the United defender repeated the trick. So the pair's first ever meeting as Football League clubs ended with the same scoreline as that big game at the Britannia Stadium, thanks in part to Francois Zoko spurning a gilt-edged chance to double Carlisle's tally.
A clash between two sides looking to end a 4-game winless streak. On the half-hour, Michael Antonio's burst into the box was curtailed by Andy Butler. The Walsall skipper given his marching orders, giving Anthony Wordsworth the chance to continue his scoring streak. His 5th goal in 6 matches had Colchester ahead by the break, and after the restart, John Ward's men had chances to give the scoreline a more convincing look. Jimmy Walker on top of his game to keep out Coyote Orijai. The Essex club back on track after last week's defeat to Sheffield United.
Yeovil made the journey to Glanford Park, having won only once in the last 8 matches, but they should have gone ahead 10 minutes before half-time. Only Kieran Agard will know how he joined an ever-increasing list of missed opportunities. The visitors were made to pay 2 minutes before the break, when Damien Mazika tapped home after good play by Eddie Nolan. It was the Frenchman's first iron goal after being reunited with Alan Knill, his old boss at Bury. Now, that should have been enough for a half-time lead, but 2 minutes into injury time, Paul Reed brought down Agard in the box. Referee Craig Pawson pointed to the spot, and Paul Watton gleefully smashed home the equaliser, 1-1 at half-time. The third goal of the afternoon came just 8 minutes after the restart, and it was the same two combining, Nolan crossing, Mazika finishing to fire the home side into the lead. And Nill's men might have gone further ahead, but Oliver Norwood was unlucky to see his long-range effort tipped onto the bar. An air of relief at the final whistle as Scunthorpe secure their first league win of the season.
So the long wait for Scunthorpe is finally over, but the most surprising result in that roundup has got to be Wycombe's surprise win over the joint leaders Sheffield United. Interestingly enough, Gary Waddock said in the build-up, the pressure's off them. Nobody expects them to win. Could that have helped that in this case, do you think?
Well, I mean, sometimes a little bit kidology, but I think he actually meant that. You know, obviously, 5 defeats doesn't
without scoring as well.
Yeah, without scoring doesn't put you in the greatest frame of mind for this game. But whatever he's said and whatever he's done during the week has worked. And Stuart Bevan, player from one of my old clubs, Weymouth, scores a fantastic goal.
What a terrific comeback by Leyton Orient against Huddersfield. The fact that they're on their 4th goalkeeper in the league this season just goes to show the kind of luck they're having. But this will give them tremendous heart.
Absolutely, a really tough place to go and get a result. Jamie McCoombe, the 2-0 down with 5 minutes to go. Jamie McCoombe gets sent off, but still an awful lot of work to be done. And you do get the feeling now they're just starting to turn the corner, Leighton Orient. Certainly the results and the way that they've played over the last couple of weeks gives you an indication that it's starting to pick up again.
Now, it feels like we're mentioning Hartlepool on a weekly basis, but that can only be a good thing. Their unbeaten run continues. We saw a goal from Nobby Solano last weekend, but that's nothing compared to this. This is the kind of stuff we used to do in a Newcastle shirt on a regular basis.
Rolling back the years, isn't it? I mean, that's a fantastic goal, and you know, after conceding just before that, it puts them back in the game. And then they're good on their travels, by the way. I think 11 goals, top scorers in the division, and they go right to the end, and that's another fantastic finish.
You mentioned travels. I mean, that's a 650 round-mile trip for those fans. They'll be going home happy. That was a terrific result.
Yeah, well, however many were there, they made some noise.
They did make a lot of noise.
There was a few, actually, didn't they?
Yeah.
So,
22,000 at the Valley for Charlton.
Yeah.
Their unbeaten start continues. Terrific statistic here from Chris Powell. He's made one forced change to his starting 11 in all 9 league games so far. So consistency is clearly the key for him.
Yes, obviously sometimes your stats don't make a lot of sense, but this one actually makes an awful lot of sense. It gives you an indication. I think what it tells you is Chris Powell has got it right from game one.
Yeah.
You know, he's brought 16 players in over the summer.
Sure.
Okay.
So he's not feeling around.
No, a lot of managers say, well, hold on a minute, give me time to sort this person out, sort the system out.
Yeah.
Chris has used the 2 or 3 months from last year, find out what he's got. He's got it right from game one. That's why they've hit the ground running. That's why they're top of the league, and that's why he's done a super job so far.
You're in generous mood tonight.
Won't always be like that.
I'm sure it won't. Well, as for League Two leaders Morecambe, could their dream start continue on Saturday? The latest team hoping to knock them off their perch was Bristol Rovers.
Morecambe's defence is miserly, giving Bristol Rovers' Cian Bolger even more reason to be proud of his first senior goal. But the Football League's a tough school, as the strapping teenage defender on loan from Leicester would discover after the break. He was unable to prevent the cross which Jason Price clipped in to pull Morecambe level. The start of a frantic 15 minutes, which saw 3 more goals. First, Kevin Ellison thundered home a free kick, giving the table toppers the lead for the first time. But the fuss had barely died down before Bolger's long ball was chested into the path of Scott McLeish. A superb strike by the Rovers veteran. Its quality matched by the goal which had the gas back in front. Joanny Ince's first for the club, one to relish. It left Morecambe on track for their first league defeat since the opening day, though the unbeaten run should have continued. In the closing minutes, Lawrence Wilson was desperately unlucky to hit the post, and Ellison made an awful hash of the rebound. Morecambe still top, but the rest have closed in.
Goals are like buses for Southend's Peter Gilbert. After waiting 8 years for one, he's now got 2 in a week. His latest had the Essex club in front against high-flying Rotherham inside the first 10 minutes. Hard to swallow for Miller's boss Andy Scott, who wanted his side to tighten up after shipping 3 goals at Torquay last time out. But early in the second half, Michael Timlin's fine volley put the Travellers on course for a 3rd straight win. All smiles for the Swindon loanee, who doubled his tally on the hour. Another long throw caused problems, and Timlin's connection couldn't have been sweeter. A thunderbolt put Paul Sturrock's men in total control, and the Millers were now tumbling to their first home defeat of the campaign. Just 4 minutes later, Neil Harris added to their misery. The veteran striker doing what he does best to top off a convincing display, and one that lifts his team to 3rd, the Millers down to 5th.
James Collins gave Shrewsbury the lead at Arsenal in midweek, and he took just 6 minutes to get on the score sheet today. The surroundings not quite as salubrious, but the feeling just as good. The Gulls thought they'd equalise midway through the first half when Billy Bodin beat the offside trap, only to be denied by Ben Smith. The Shrews have had a hectic schedule so far this season, with only 1 midweek off since the campaign started, but they were showing no signs of fatigue and almost went 2-0 up when Collins smacked the bar. When Torquay earned a goalless draw here in the playoffs last season, the defence stood resolute. However, that's not how you describe it 4 minutes into the second half. Bobby Olenik's weak clearance put his defence under pressure, and Collins capitalised for his 3rd goal of the week. There was still time for it to go from bad to worse for the visitors, as Rene Howe was sent off for a petulant kick at Ruben Hazel. The win moves Graham Turner's side into 2nd.
It was a good result for us. It could be a defining result for the season. We've said beforehand how difficult a game it was, not only Torquay's attributes, but the fatigue from the big occasion on Tuesday night.
After struggling for goals recently, Gillingham have now managed 9 in 2 games. Having previously mustered only 1 in 4, the Gills' purple patch continued with Danny Kedwell's 20th minute opener. Goals haven't been a problem for Burton. The Brewers' record of scoring in every game this season remains intact thanks to Billy Key's equaliser. His header from Justin Richards' deflected cross hauled Burton deservedly level. A switch to 4-4-2 has re-energised Gillingham recently. Frank Nouble's arrival from West Ham has coincided with the Gills' glut of goals. He restored the home side's lead with his second in as many games. Nouble's presence has also helped his new strike partner. Seconds later, Gillingham made it 3. Kedwell completing his brace from Danny Jackman's pass. It might have been a hat-trick for the former AFC Wimbledon man, but his path to goal was abruptly and illegally blocked by Aaron Webster. A second yellow card saw the Burton man walk. And it was to get even worse for the away side. They finished the game with 9 men. Ryan Austin was on a booking when he clattered into Charlie Lee. The inevitable red card completed Burton's miserable afternoon. Defeat sees the Brewers overtaken by Gillingham, who are now up to 6.
Pre-match, Aldershot's dream came true. Danny Hilton's midweek League Cup winner earned that dream date with Manchester United. Now Dean Holdsworth needs to keep his players' minds on the bread and butter matches in the meantime. Hilton was an inch or two from making it the perfect day against Crawley, but the Sussex side took the shine off Aldershot's afternoon with a 64th minute winner. Michael Doty on loan from QPR, conjuring up a delicious delivery which was gobbled up by the ever-hungry Tyrone Barnett. Not that the shots were down for long. The prospect of the mighty Mancunians coming to town saw to that.
I think it's not just the financials, it's the boost it gives to everyone at the club. I mean, this will give us longevity beyond that game. Great for the players to show what they can do. Great for Dean. Yeah. You know, he's always wanted to pit himself against the best. Yeah. It's going to stretch us in every department, but we're up for it.
After successive wins on the road, Oxford were back at home brimming with confidence. Paul McLaren got lucky in the first half to raise hopes of extending the winning sequence. Accrington still haven't tasted success on their travels since February, but John Coleman feels his side are making good progress. Just past the hour, Peter Murphy cracked in the equaliser. It's the 4th time Oxford have been held on their own patch this season. They're out of the playoff places.
With 4 wins in their last 5 matches, Crewe went into this game high in confidence, but they had to wait until the 72nd minute before breaking the deadlock, Byron Moore electing to go alone and firing low past Stuart Tomlinson. Having waited so long to take the lead, they then saw it evaporate almost immediately. 2 minutes later, a simple throw-in wasn't dealt with as Clayton MacDonald flicked it on to Tom Pope, who answered veiled prayers. An unhappy birthday for Valley Parade. Bradford's home was celebrating its 125th anniversary as a sporting venue. There was almost an early gift from Wimbledon keeper Seb Brown. He headed onto the on-rushing James Hansen, but was saved by the woodwork. The Dons' generosity continued when on-loan defender Callum McNaughton caught Jamie Devitt for a 26th minute penalty. Stand-in skipper Michael Flynn made no mistake from the spot, and the Bantams were all set for celebration. But Wimbledon were in no mood to play gracious guests. They levelled 5 minutes later. Jack Midson collected his 6th goal in his last 8 games from Christian Jolly's header. And it was the inappropriately named Jolly who well and truly pooped Bradford's party. He grabbed the winner on 57 minutes, a second of the season for Jolly, who left Phil Parkinson feeling anything but. The Bradford boss is still waiting for a first win.
Two surprises for Cheltenham, a goalless draw for the first time in 43 league outings, and stranger still, it came against a defence which at the start of play was the leakiest in the country. Strugglers Hereford rode their luck several times, in keeping with the history of the fixture. The Robins have never managed a home win against their local rivals. Josh Lowe also unable to muster the goal Cheltenham deserved. So Hereford make up some ground on League Two's other strugglers and almost pinched all the points. Simon Clist's toe poke didn't quite have the legs to win the derby.
Paolo Di Canio will be starting the Swindon Half Marathon next month. His side never broke sweat against Barnet. Out of the blocks early, courtesy of Rafael De Vita's 11th minute strike. That put the home side firmly in their stride, and they doubled the advantage midway through the half. The impressive Matt Ritchie rattled the woodwork and then lurked with intent. The finish line already in sight against a Barnet side without a win on their travels since the opening day, and they simply couldn't keep up with the pace. Ritchie tied Mark Marshall up in knots before swinging over an inviting cross for Mehdi Karouche. The Algerian's 5th goal in 6 matches finished the contest. Alberto Camazzi spotted Ritchie's run midway through the second half as Di Canio's men pulled further clear. The winger's second of the day saw Swindon coast home with ease.
It's been another week of headlines for Plymouth Argyle, but there was an air of optimism at home park following the news that local entrepreneur James Brent was hoping to complete a takeover of the club by mid-October. Meanwhile, Carl Fletcher was always going to sit out today's game after a red card last weekend. He probably wasn't expecting to be the boss, but that's exactly what he was following Peter Reid's sacking, and his tenure started brightly as Warren Feeney opened the scoring after 20 minutes. The home side then put daylight between themselves and the visitors 8 minutes into the second half. Robbie Williams' free kick had already crossed the line when Laji Sakuna made sure. A great start then for Fletcher and assistant Roman Lariu.
At the end of the day, me and Ro were just a couple of players who were kind of playing at managers, so to speak, and we're learning as we go. So it's a good experience for everyone, and we'll enjoy it tonight, but start work again Monday.
And would you like the opportunity to do this job on a permanent basis?
I've only done one game.
With only one win in their previous 16 home games, Sixfields was grateful for the visit of Dagenham and Redbridge. Northampton have a 100% record against the Daggers and were ahead on 16 minutes through Aaron Davis. When Adebayo Akinfenwa headed home on the hour mark from Michael Jacobs' cross, it condemned the Daggers to a 5th consecutive league defeat. That's a new club record. There was a late consolation for John Still's side. On loan, Ollie Lee, son of former Newcastle and England star Robert, grabbed his 2nd Daggers goal in as many games. But Gary Johnson's side held on to record a first home win of the campaign.
Good win that for Northampton, but worrying times at the minute for Dagenham and Redbridge. Well, as for Morecambe's terrific run, it's come to an end at the hands of Bristol Rovers, Steve. And it's interesting this because Paul Buckles said at the start of the week he's trying to lower the expectations around the men. But then, you go and beat the leaders and exactly the opposite is going to happen.
Yeah, I think he'd prefer to beat them than to than to be proved wrong. No, look, they're a good club at this level, Bristol Rovers. There's no doubt about it. They're one of the clubs with real potential. And, at last they're starting to fulfil it. He's a good manager. He's proved that at Torquay. Knows what he's doing at this level. He's brought some good players in. And, I think their year will get better and better.
Great times for Southend, and this is a club that's been built virtually from the bottom in terms of Paul Sturrock and the work that he's done at Roots Hall. Biggest away win in 22 years, and this is not just against anybody. This is one of the league favourites for promotion.
No, and I mean, I watched Rotherham at Swindon, big strong side, and they don't react to the second phase. They win both the first phase balls, but obviously they don't take the hint. And not only does he do it once, he does it twice, and 2 really, really good strikes as well.
Plymouth, what a week it's been for them. Obviously, Peter Reid no longer there, but like Doncaster, there's a new man at the helm, and they get the win that everyone down there is praying for. I mean, this was something that they definitely needed because 8 consecutive league defeats, that rot had to be stopped.
Yeah, 8 out of 9, and obviously last year wasn't great either. And it's something that had to be addressed. It is, and a little bit like Doncaster, they win a game of football, and all of a sudden, things don't look quite as bad. They're a win, same as Doncaster. They're a win away from getting out of relegation zone. So things can turn very, very quickly.
But the thing is now, obviously, Football League status is ultimately at stake for a club like Plymouth.
Yeah.
So they've brought in Carl Fletcher, Roman Lariou as a caretaker duo. If they do well, do you think they'll stick with them, or?
I think there's absolutely no doubt.
Obviously down to the new owners.
It helps to be in situ, but it's your opportunity. You know, from a playing perspective and a managing perspective, it's difficult to do the two. But having said that, if they get the right results, you know, I'm sure that that'll be something that I'll look at.
It's a big win for Swindon Town. They've now won 4 of the last 5. Yeah. I know Paolo Di Canio, he's also looking for his strongest 11. He chops and changes his lineup on a regular basis. But worrying times for Barnet, these, aren't they?
They are, actually.
1 win in 9.
Yeah, I think better things were expected under Laurie this year. I'm a little bit surprised because I watched them early on in the season against Portsmouth in the Carling Cup, and they played very well. And their cup results have been better than their league results. But yeah, down in 21st place. They won't want another year like last year. They won't, you know, I'm sure they didn't anticipate they'd be struggling like they are. So yeah, you'd like to think that things will change around there as well.
OK, well, let's just put the league to bed for the time being, because the draw for the 4th round of the Carling Cup was made a little earlier today. There are 5 all Premier League ties. One for the romantics here that clearly comes out at you. I mean, Aldershot, your old club, against Manchester United. Terrific.
Fantastic. I mean, last time I was there, they were 2 months away from going into bankruptcy. It's taken an awful long time to get back into the league, but they've done that. And I've watched the last 2 games in the Carling Cup, funnily enough, against Carlisle and Rochdale. Played fantastically well in both of those, and this is a reward for all the hard work that's gone into that club to get them back into the league from those dark days.
It certainly is. Right, before we sign off, let's take a look at the league tables before we go then. Well, Plymouth stay bottom of League 2 after they picked up their first win of the season. Hereford just above them after their goalless draw away from home. Morecambe hold on to the top of the league spot despite that home defeat to Bristol Rovers. Shrewsbury move into second, while Southend's good form continues as they move into the top 3 for the first time. Into League 1 then, and there was a good draw for Leyton Orient at Huddersfield, but the O's stay rock bottom and are still looking for their first win. Exeter just above them after their heavy defeat. Bury and Rochdale drop into the bottom 4. At the top, Charlton move 3 points clear of Sheffield United, and just take a look at Hartlepool. Still unbeaten, and they're now 3rd in the league. The Dean Saunders revolution is underway as Doncaster pick up their first win of the campaign, but Rovers stay bottom with Bristol City sitting a position above them. Coventry move into the bottom 3. Meanwhile, Southampton and Middlesbrough stay in the top 2 positions of the Championship, despite both drawing their games. Derby and West Ham move up into 3rd and 4th, with Brighton a place below them after their draw on Friday. Incidentally, Cardiff play Leicester tomorrow, and both teams have got a chance of moving into the top 6 on Sunday. Now, the whole show is available again on satellite and cable from now until midday. It's on Freeview until 10 to 6 in the morning. Otherwise, it's on the iPlayer all week. If you're after extended match highlights, meanwhile, just go to the BBC Sport website. Don't forget, Match of the Day 2 is on Sunday night. Join Colin for that at 10 o'clock on BBC 2. As for us, we'll be back next Saturday, and we're on air at midnight on BBC 1, as usual, straight after Match of the Day. Well, that's your lot for tonight. Steve, thanks for your company this evening. We'll see you next week. Good night.